Look, it is Dami, and I am so excited to catch your attention today. Look, it was really impressed on my heart today to share with you on why it is time to get your hopes up. You know, when I was younger, I was actually afraid to really have high hopes, like really, really high hopes. Now, I was a hopeful person, joyful and all of that, but really, really to go beyond just what was normal for me because I was afraid of being disappointed. And I think a lot of human beings actually have that caution when it comes to hope and expectations because we really feel like if we don't go too far out there, then we won't be too hurt when there are setbacks because setbacks do happen in life. Now, that is a wrong pattern of thinking because nature abhors a vacuum. And the thing is, when we stay in neutral zone, we're really leaving ourselves to be subject to anything happening and tossing us back and forth and us not being in the good kind of control of our own life. And here's the thing, hope is defined as a confident expectation. Now, confidence comes from knowing that you are absolutely loved and that God is on your side, not because you have, perfection or that you figured everything out or that you can control all the circumstances all over the world and all the people included, because you can't. So hope is a confident expectation, not a mere wish or whatever it is. But the thing is, your heart created by God has maximum potential to fulfill your destiny in spite of the obstacles you may face. And when you hope, what you're doing is you are expanding your expectation, you're expanding your imagination, and ultimately expanding the capacity of your heart, okay, to bring about the manifestation of God's call and glory in your life. So when you shut off hope, right, you are shutting off the capacity for yourself to receive from what God can possibly do. I'll also call hope in another way, expanding possibilities, right? You may not know how, you may not know exactly when and all the exact details, but you are actively creating something when you actually put hope out there, put yourself out there and say, I will hope. As we mature and as we grow, I believe we start to see that it is greater to receive those crowns of authority and rulership and dominion that we've been called to than to sit back and simply try to guard our hearts. And that's not the true definition of guarding your heart, to protect ourselves from setbacks and disappointment, because fear never protects us. Actually, it's a false illusion. But you may say, well, yeah, I'm just gonna pull back a little bit and maybe it'll be a little bit mediocre and all of that. You're gonna see less things come to pass though, okay? You're selling yourself short, you're settling for less. One of the areas that I really got challenged in last year is when I was going through what just felt like an endless drought, and it had just been going on and on. And I started to see a glimpse of, whoa, I think that this kind of is happening the way I want it to happen. Well, guess what? It just kind of fell apart again. And I'm like, what? Again? And I mean, this is not the first time, but this was the time when it really seemed like I had pressed in, listened in, and just started to make those tweaks, let go of some things, add on some things. And I just really thought, well, this is the right direction, surely, right? Well, of course, I'm asking, like, well, what is this about? What's going on? And I heard something that I shared with the tribe last year. There is more. There is more. In fact, that I heard before everything came to a stop. And it was like, wait a minute, how are you going to hear there is more and then everything comes to a stop and there is now less? Well, here's the awesome thing. As I asked and I started to really get some understanding, what I've truly learned was actually it's a process. It is a process as you grow and as you are answering your call. And at that point, when it actually seems like these promises are not coming to fruition again, and it just seems like, what just happened? The truth is, it is at that moment, your strategy is to actually then increase your expectations again. You thought you had some expectations. That was nothing compared to what you were being called to. It is time to now expand your expectations again. Thank you, Jensen Franklin, for that nugget. It is time to expand those expectations in the face of what seems like it just kind of flopped again. No, open it up. And I was just so grateful to have been in that moment of growth, to feel like God was holding my hand and saying, this is how stuff works. This is how it works. You don't sit back, and whine back. No, increase your expectations in the face of yet a slap in the face, a major disappointment. Okay, do it. And so again, that increased the capacity in my heart. And I feel like that is part of why I'm privileged today to be able to get this out to you and encourage you. It's time to get your hopes up, because the truth is there is a lot to capture. There is a lot of territory to gain. There are a lot of lives to be saved, a lot of lives to be impacted, the next generation, when you simply decide to hope. Now, you can apply this simply to your health. We're getting ready to start a wellness and fitness challenge here, and you can apply that to health. You can apply it to family, to relationships, to your business, to your call, your career, your ministry, to capturing people's hearts for all eternity. You can simply apply this to wherever your heart is resonating today. But it is imperative that you actively get into that force of hope. Because again, nature abhors a vacuum. It is those who decide that they're going to be in control of what God has given them to be in control of, which is your life, your choices, your decisions, your mindset, your expectations, your hope in Him. Okay, it is those people that actually get to gain ground, gain territory, and fulfill destiny. So don't sit back. Don't fearfully not expect. Okay, do expect. Sometimes you think you want more. You are ready for it, but you really don't want to put yourself out there quite yet because of the fear of disappointment. However, it also means this: you're not expanding your capacity to receive. And that capacity to receive is what's important. And it needs your vulnerability. Yes, it needs your audacity to show up and say, look, I know there are risks, and I know that there's even a chance that I could be disappointed again. But you are greater than your disappointment, beloved. You are greater than these things that come and go, because your heart is bigger than events and circumstances and letdowns and all that. No. Your heart is about capacity. Now, God, who has placed eternity in your heart, has made you limitless, endless as far as what you can draw from Him, because He is limitless and He is endless. That heart is where God imprinted His own image. That heart is where the word, the words that are life and that are creative get deposited, that you will finally speak it out of your mouth and it creates. Not a copycat talking, not just communication talking, but opening your mouth to speak creative power deposited in your heart, because that is where you reflect and mimic this glorious God who created you fearfully, wonderfully, magnificently, breathtakingly. You are stunning. You have significance. You have absolute value. And I truly, truly believe that. I hope that you receive that today and you get out there and get your hopes up and start to apply it. Ask, what is it that I'm actually not increasing in my heart? You can't get out there and just try to hustle and sweat and burn without having the deposit of growth and expectation in that precious heart of yours. Open up your imagination to those things that God has been looking to deposit in you, to that potential that's already in you that needs to be rubbed up against some expectation, okay? Some imagination, some hope. Faith is for the heart. And you know what? The more that you press in, the more that you actually say, hey, I'm in, the more you get to see greater things happen. And I think this is part of where we need to get, we need to get to when we motivate, when we inspire, when we encourage. You know, I can lift you up. I can get your heart just excited and ready to go. But then I might set you up by just because you feel great now and you're like, yes, you know, and it may be a little bit of a setup for you to think that there will not be the challenges that do come. And I believe that truly, if your heart is interested in what God has for you, you know, you're going to be able to listen to some of the challenging truths, right? That in showing up, in taking the bold step, in increasing your hope and expectation, yes, we do experience things not going the way we may have expected. Now, if you've walked through some of that, that sounds very familiar. You can nod your head confidently and know all will be well. But I think that when we're still, maturing, we're just like, no, avoid setbacks at all costs, because we just seem to think that we can't handle it. We don't not need to have an immature expectation that things will always be exactly as we perceive. I believe for those who are called, for those who step up, we are bold, we are fearless to say, I may not know exactly how, but I know the end result. And the end result is that you've been set up to win, though. You've been set up to overcome. It is time, I'm going to say it again for the last time, to get your hopes up, to expand your imagination, expand your expectation, so that you can expand the capacity of your heart to receive what God is doing. The Lord who is with you, who has promised to be with you, the Lord who created you, put His image in you, who has seen all kinds of setbacks. Yes, God Himself has seen setbacks. He's seen people not fulfill what He's called them to be. He's seen the evil that's taken place in the world. He's seen the disease, the sin, the sickness, all of these things that are not His will and His plan for mankind. And you know what He did? He put Himself through a whole lot of hell. Yes, literally. Hell, death on the cross, sent Himself on the mission of rescue for me and you. He's willing to do it, and he's called us to do it. Take inspired action. Okay, to breathe in is to be inspired. The Spirit of God himself breathing in that life force, and take action from where that leads you. Thank you so much for listening. I will be in touch again. Join me in the challenge if you can. I would love to see what kind of changes that we can bring about, what kind of transformation we can experience this season. We are excited. It's Dami, and I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.